Hi, I am Verdaillia Turner, and this is Let's Talk. And today we are interviewing for District 5, the seat presently held by Mrs. Erika Mitchell, but to my right is
Omar Ali with Ali Development.
With no further ado, hi, Mrs. Mitchell.
Good afternoon, Mrs. Turner, Mr. Ali. Thank you for having me today.
It's a pleasure.
And I feel comfortable with you as a candidate because I've known you for a while and watched you on the Board of Education. You are running again. What do you do for a living?
Well, marketing consultant. I do it for various companies. I also working in the special education space, trying to work with school districts to find the best type of services and support programmings for their students.
Mm-hmm. And you've gone through a lot on that board. We watched you go through a lot of different ups and downs, not as a person, but as a school district.
Yes.
And stuck to it. You also have kids in the district, right?
Yes, I do. My son is 15 and my daughter's 11.
So you know what it is to...
I live the experience every day as a parent.
Tell us the positives about Atlanta school system.
The positive that I see is that we have opportunities. We have a lot of opportunities. I like to see how a lot of the principals are out in the community working with the families. I can speak towards my district and certain schools in other districts, but overall, I've seen the hard work of those principals in District 5. The ongoing, what can I do to make this experience better for the students and the parents, going out the way with different services they could provide, resources, cluster nights, parent night, just anything they can do to support those students with the limited resources that they have. And through it all, I see, the promise and opportunities. The other thing I like about Atlanta Public Schools is that a career college academy, that it brings back those vocational skills, those trade skills back into our district. So it's a mixture of pathway for students to choose which direction they want to go into. I love the type of pathways we have, and partnering with different companies and nonprofits here in the city. We have a city full of resources, and I think one of the unique things for Atlanta Public Schools is to take advantage of that. And we have, with one of the bills the governor passed a couple of years ago, not this current governor, but they make sure that every school had a trade vocational component. So
is that still funded by the state?
It is. The state funded a portion of it, and then it's lifted over to APS. Mm-hmm. Well, it depends on I can't remember how that agreement was done, but it mandated that every school really focus on the career opportunities and not just the college.
Tell us negatives as you see, or places we need to improve, and it could be about the board if you want to, whatever you want to say.
Well, it always starts with the board because we're elected by the families and the people in our community. So whatever expectations we set, it starts from the board. Any accountability, it starts from the board. I think the board has a unique opportunity to govern a little bit differently than how I've seen since I've been on the board. Meaning that we need to have more of shared leadership, not a dictatorship. And I say that because we are all elected, but we all have to work together collaboratively and not it being streamlined by one person. And it should be shared leadership in different components, such as, I give you an example, if someone's working on a project, we all should help support that project, not getting stopped what you can and can't do, not being policed is what I call by the board or whoever. And that's not the way to lead. I think we all have to support each other collaboratively. What your district need is unique from what my district need. But if I can support you on this to ensure that this is happening in your district, then I'm willing to do that. It shouldn't be, this is not how we do things. This is, not the way our practice is, but this is a new, unique time for us to work together. I don't know what happened in the past. I know what's happening right now, and I know what needs to be done right now. And I just feel like it needs to be more shared leadership than, the past practices that I've seen before.
Some of those past practices that we take issue with as a teacher organization, I'm not here representing necessarily the teachers today, is too much power by the chair and how things are done in terms of governance. And sometimes superintendents that were I would just say flat out handpicked. I don't care what the process says, because I've been a part of that process too, and that's why I resigned one of them and start looking at others. Tell us the power of the chair.
Well, from my understanding, it's the chair, the general counsel, and the superintendent. The chair set agendas does agenda setting with the administration. The chair has the ability to set the agenda the way they want to. They don't have
to collaborate.
They don't have to ask us what we want on the agenda. They set the agenda on behalf of the board with the superintendent, and then they send it out to the board members once the draft has been done. So there's no what I would call pre-conversation in advance to how you would like to see the agenda if there's something you would like to discuss prior to the agenda being set. Is it an open door for people to do that? I don't know. I haven't seen it done. I haven't had the opportunity to do it outside of the different committees. Let's put it that way, because the committees of the board, policy, budget, what have you. But as the overall board, the board chair sets the agenda, so that's one area that the board chair is responsible for. The board chair is responsible for the board staff to report to them. So our board staff that we have only reports to the board chair and is directed by the board chair. The general counsel reports to the board chair. The superintendent reports to the board chair, but he or she served 9 board members. So you have to look at the dynamics with that, and that's why I say it should be more of a shared leadership approach, because we all, again, are elected. We're not hired, we are elected. So we should have a say in these processes.
Who oversees the budget process?
The budget process is done by what's her name? Dr. Lisa, I'm drawing a blank.
What's the position?
She's our chief financial officer,
Okay.
and she reports to the superintendent. The superintendent reports to the board chair.
Who initiates the budget process?
The superintendent. Well, let me not say that. I'll go back. We have a budget committee. Directions that come out the budget committee goes directly to the chief financial officer, which is Lisa Bracken. I'm sorry, I got her name now.
How are you assigned to a committee?
The board chair.
The board chair. So in other words, if you can control the board chair, you can control the board. And you didn't say it, I'm saying it. And I'm taking issue at people who continuously be board chairs. Atlanta need to know this. That's why if you go back and look at these folk campaign contributions and look at where they're landing, you'll understand all you got to do is get 3 or 4 or 5 particulars of information, and all of them are African American too. So we can't just say other folk doing it.
That's
okay,
right.
All right. But there was a TikTok on that today about how you have influences in the community. And that's why we want Atlanta to know how things operate. So if you wanted to change that power of the chair, is that changing the charter, or what needs to be changed?
So here's the thing. You can change it through policy. The charter...
If you get the votes.
If you get the votes, it goes through policy committee. So the charter outlines what the criteria is, what needs to happen. The policy then is what sets the expectation and the rollout for the board chair, the vice chair, committee. The board members. So
that's picked by the chair. Anyway, go ahead.
So I mean, and I look at it this way: like, what is the role of the board chair? I mean, vice chair. If the board chair doesn't do the duties, then the vice chair do it. I think they should have a different type of role, like a unique role. It shouldn't be if they don't do their duties, then I do it. But it should be 2 people working to help 7 people. So you have 9 board members versus everything come down 1 person only, and then it's kind of like you have to advocate and push and just try to get things done in a not in a process, not in a way that is a process.
And anybody questioning is made to be the bad guy.
Oh, of course.
I've seen that for years.
How does, who determines, I know you said the CFO determines the budget, but how does each school district or each school get allocated their funds?
So it is based on the student success formula.
Okay.
And that's what our per pupil is per school. So it looks different depending on the unique needs of that school and the area that they're in. That is, and I wanted to go back to the budget question because as board members, we set the budget primer and parameters on what the focus needs to be on the budget for that year and align to our goals, our strategic plan, and different things that we would like to see within that budget process. So it comes out as a full board. We're going to retreat, a budget retreat, to make those decisions. The budget committee meets as needed to receive continual updates and to govern that budget process to ensure that things are being done the way that we decided within our goals, our budget primer, our budget parameters, equity, whatever it might be. And so that's kind of how that it is operate. Now, who has the final decision on it? We do as a full board when we vote on that budget.
Okay. On average per month, about how many hours do you give to the board?
Oh gosh, it's like a full-time job.
When you do it right, it is about
It's
full-time
it's a
job.
full-time
What's
job.
the compensation for the board members?
22,500. And I explain, I explain this. Before 2021, the board hasn't took a raise in 20 years. Each 4 years, we're given a 15,000 increase by the the Atlanta Commission Board that decides on the raise for elected officials in the city of Atlanta municipality, and every 4 years it's been denied by the board chair and people on the board. So this past time we were really advocating to get the full 15,000. That didn't happen. You had two people on the board that didn't want to see it happen, and so they said, well, instead of getting a $15,000 raise, we're going to do a 2% increase. So that was $7,500. So you add $15,000 to $7,500, you get $22,500.
What am I missing? They voted against their own interest for a raise. What am I missing? These two board members, they voted not to give a $15,000 raise.
So it has to come out of Budget Commission.
Okay.
And they didn't have the votes in but the Budget Commission meeting for it to go to the full board for approval.
We need to look at who those two board members
I
were.
can tell you who they are.
Okay.
Jason Estevez and Nancy Meister.
Okay.
Because Jason Estevez, and I'm just going to say this openly, I know he's in the Senate and we need his votes over there, but we would like for the Senate, the people who are sitting there right now who know the way, to be more respected too than a lot of freshmen going over there. You know, and some of them are going as opportunists. I know that the election put them there, or somebody vacated a seat. But we also want Atlanta to start looking at who's behind these candidates. I mean, we actually, I told the last candidate, we need just our own citizens board. Don't wait for somebody to put it together. And start blasting out who these candidates are, who these people are who are in office, who they represent. But go ahead, you got another question?
I do. Kind of shifting gears, I'm a huge advocate of economics. I think that even education is a symptom from lack of economics if education is not done the right way. What initiative do you think that we can take to put entrepreneurship back in schools?
Oh, gosh, I've been wanting to see something like that for a long time, I think. And actually, as that I've seen, children are creative. They have the opportunity to develop their own and foster their talents through education, and entrepreneurship is the way to go. I think there's a good opportunity to put entrepreneurship back in the schools. We could do it school by school, or it could be done district-wide, but I do believe that we need to have courses dedicated to entrepreneurship, streamlined to all our, especially all our high schools, and even getting those soft foundational skills in elementary school and middle school.
And somebody to make it happen.
And you have a good person right now who's our interim superintendent, Dr. Battle. I mean, she's great. I'm so glad she's back.
I am glad she's back too. I was on the news saying that in another role, and I don't know if we can keep her. Have you all already hired the search firm for the next superintendent?
We're in the process of hiring them. I don't know if they received their contract, or I don't think we voted on it yet, but I'll take a look and see if that's something we're going to be doing today.
Who recommends to the board who the people should be who search for the superintendent?
So what we do is a process where we put out an RFP. RFP. That RFP is responded to by search firms who want to do the search for Atlanta Public Schools. Then there's a criteria that they meet. Then those submissions are brought to the board. We review them. We pick, we had 8. We pick 3 out of the 8. We bring them back and have our conversation around which search firm we should use. And then we, get some consensus amongst the board, and, then we have our search firm.
The search firms, from the lowest to the highest, what their contracts look like in terms of dollars?
Oh, I don't know. I can't remember exactly the numbers for each one.
Which is a segue to the next question. A few of those superintendents we don't think should have ever been there. But why can't Atlanta keep a superintendent?
Because we got to start hiring family and friends.
Oh.
I mean, I'm just being honest.
We got to stop family and friends day
yes,
to do that
we gotta
basis?
Stop doing that. Yeah, we do. These are our kids, our children. If they cannot do the job, don't bring them in.
Yeah.
I mean, that's just it. I don't care how close you are. I don't care how y'all affiliated. If they cannot do the job, they should not be here.
Would you this time be open to asking your employee representatives for suggestions?
Employee representative, the firms.
The firms that have to ask for suggestions.
Yeah,
they don't mean that y'all got to vote on them.
Yeah, they can give us suggestions. They can give us, but the thing about it is, as a board member, you have to do your research. You have to. If you know that these people are applying, research them. You have to.
The Lord, the Lord blessed you with Dr. Battle, but go ahead.
Look,
really,
I'm gonna tell you that was like advocating, like, no, we need her. No, we need her. I don't know about everybody else, but this person I know we need, and just sticking to that and giving my rationale around that. And this is where we are.
We got to convince her to stay.
She just want to get through these 10 months and do a good job. And that says a lot about her integrity.
Yeah, it does.
That does. With the other candidates, there's so many candidates nationwide. A lot of people ask me, do you think we should choose someone from the outside or inside? I think we should choose someone that has a proven track record. It could be internally. It could be externally. But they have to know to get the job done for students first. Not all this other stuff I've seen in the past. I mean, really getting in there and getting in the schools and getting the work done.
When you get your list from superintendents to interview, do you all get top 5 or top 1 or top 10 or what?
They give us the applications and the resumes of everyone who applied. And then we go through and review individually. We come back as a full board and we decide who we want to interview.
Okay. All right.
Got it. I have a question. I've been to many APS board meetings. I've only seen a couple people speak up, including yourself, against facilities. Well, what do we have to do when they're wrong? What do we have to do to hold them accountable? Because facilities control a lot of power. They can make and break communities and schedules.
I've seen a lot of
shenanigans. I see it.
Things done differently than I would expect with facilities. One, I would say we didn't have a process. They had a process, but there wasn't the process on how things are brought before the board. It's through whoever gives a proposal or who knows who and reach out to who, and then the superintendent likes to bring to the board as a recommendation. But what is the process for that? What is the process if you, like, I could give you example, G.A. Towns Elementary. My community really advocated for that building to be used as a community center, a community incubator. And there was no process for them to go through to get it done. I could only help them as much as I could before I cross that line where it becomes a conflict of interest, right? And I look at that as a good opportunity when you have vacated buildings in your district. Why not bring it back into the community? Like, use it for resources, use it for incubator, entrepreneurship, maybe a satellite, I don't want to say satellite, but a sub office for people who might need medical resources or different type of trainings, or for the arts, for music. Just why can't we do that? Why is it always a fight?
Yeah, and I agree with you. I think sometimes facilities, maybe they don't understand the construction aspect of it. Let's say the surplus that was originally brought up 4 years ago. At that particular time, construction cost and interest rate would have saved per school almost 30 to 40%. Now we're at a point now to where those schools are 30 or 40% more to renovate. So all of that cost is going to trickle back down to the community, back down to the tenants. And I know affordability is a big issue. Now we're at a higher point. It's even more difficult to do affordability, all because the schedule is delayed. Yeah.
So she said they needed a process, Omar.
They do.
So you may want to come up with one, and we let the world know we're coming up with a process. Now we're asking APS for their process. Now let's do it side by side, and then we and call for it.
I'll take that
we
challenge.
don't set the agenda.
Yeah.
Go to whoever the chair and say, "Call." We want it on the table.
Okay.
And another thing is the facility master plan is one of the opportunities we have to put in the correct processes.
Okay.
Okay, CARES Act. About how much money the APS
Ooh.
was granted? How much did?
I got to go look at some on paper because I don't know on the top of my
Several
head.
hundred million.
It was in the millions, yeah, for sure.
I'm wondering about how much was not used.
We will find that out soon because actually, yeah, that's one of the things I'm asking for last week, and I have 2 more courses this week. I'm taking the ESSER funds course with Georgetown University. It shows us how to build our budgets, how to allocate and appropriate those funds, and what they should be used on. Because what you don't want to be is towards the end get surprised that you can't fund certain things that you've been funding with those money, and how to roll it out and transition. Because you know those funds are rolling out. So it's been a really eye-opener because a lot of times we use those funds for teacher pay raises and offsetting certain program costs, but we know that money's going to run out. But if the programs are beneficial, then how are they going to be sustained? And then also you don't want to leave your teachers and staff hanging because they experience a certain amount of additional revenue, income, and that they're not going to be receiving anymore. So where would you pull those monies to offset? So it's like I said, it's a very interesting course, and it allows me to think, and it allows me to know what triggers the different departments, so you know what to expect. And it has me looking at it differently because I haven't served on the budget committee, because I felt like I need to have a little bit more training before I can say what I think and what I feel should happen, and not having the intuition or knowledge on how this whole budget cycle is. Now I know as a board member, just because I've seen and done these type of things, but just to narrow down on it to the point where you have to have some type of education around that. And I think that brings me to my next thing. I think every board member should have continuing ed ongoing.
Everyone continuing ed, exactly.
That goes from leadership skills, leadership styles on down to policy, budget, you name it.
Banks. Do you know who Atlanta Public Schools bank with right now?
Bank of America? Or did we end our contract with them?
I don't
can't
know.
remember.
I'm throwing it out because
I know
we got a
Bank of America.
$1.5 billion budget, and some bank is holding that money. It got to, because you got to deal with the bank, and that means interest and a lot of funds.
Okay.
But Omar, you want to say anything about that?
Yeah. So when you put in 1.5 billion into a bank, is that bank reinvesting back into those same communities?
That's
Do they
a
have
good
programs set up? If they don't, it's a disservice to where you really should pull some of that money away and negotiate with the bank who are going to give back to the community.
Yeah, social corporate responsibility is so important, because if you have companies that we give contracts to and invest in and use them as a service, what's your social corporate responsibility to the community?
What are they giving back? Exactly. Right.
That's big for me. It always have been. I always asked, like, what's the give back? What's the social good around this? Because you're taking from us, and we are giving to you. But what comes back now? So sometimes you see it, but then sometimes you don't.
Right.
I'll give an example, and I hope it's not too controversial, but when I learned that Microsoft was coming into Atlanta, The first thing, and they were coming into the Douglas cluster, which was my district. I have not yet met with not one person from
Not one
Microsoft.
person.
Not one person.
I wonder, who did they meet with then?
Oh, you know who they met with. They didn't meet with me.
Right.
I'm the district person.
Mm-hmm.
And my question to our administration, especially to the previous superintendent at the time,
Mm-hmm.
what are they going to do to help our schools and our students and our community and our parents? Because I looked at two different things: computer science curriculum and a feeder program and a pathway. Pathway means two things: Microsoft certification, Microsoft certificate. Two different things.
Mm-hmm.
Ready to go to work. Are you going to hire them? How many?
That's a hell of an idea. Yeah.
How many students are you going to hire?
Right.
You got to meet a certain quota.
How many are you going to train and hire?
That's it.
Exactly.
And then not only that, what about the parents?
Mm-hmm.
What type of opportunities do you have for the parents and community members? You're in our community.
Mm-hmm.
What are you going to provide them? Microsoft built their own campus so they can bring their own people here. But we have a workforce here that needs to be
That's
trained.
right. That's right. And if we don't have our people who we are electing, putting on those boards, representing our people, the people who are elected them, and if they are stifled or sanctioned, then ain't no such thing as democracy or indirect democracy. You forget it. It is a dictatorship, and
that
Atlanta
should be
is
for
complete
all.
with too much of it.
Yeah, and that should be for all corporate companies we have
Every
partnerships
one
with.
of them.
Yeah.
Why not?
Every one of them.
I seen them do it in Louisville, Kentucky. Big medical healthcare industry. Pathways directly from high school to work, and even with parents. You know, back in the day, you used to do night school for the
Right.
parents. What are
That's
we doing
right.
now?
Right.
Adult education, I don't know what that looks like. I heard, but I don't know.
Mhm.
Kind of get what I'm saying? Like,
Yes.
even having those opportunities for post-secondary education for adults. They might be coming back getting their GED, but they might be good with computers. They might be good with math. They might be good with
Yep.
this and that. Where are the pathways for them?
And do we know our parents? I don't think that we really know them. We know some of them.
Yeah.
But we have a lot of value, and a lot of times that's just on purpose too. You know, with people that know, stay in the know, and to continue to rule the resources, and just send the other little kids to school because states say you have to.
Yes, ma'am.
You have anything else you want to
Yeah, I'm
say?
good.
There's so many other things that I could say. You know, I wish one day somebody would just interview me completely on teacher organizations. When it comes down to benefits of employees, I say they're really not benefits. They're paying for them, and they're meager at that. When it comes down to that social corporate responsibility, strong teacher organizations have a lot to say about that.
Yes.
And here we have had too many 5, 6, 7 people, and I'm looking at the Secretary of State. They're not a union. They're privately owned. They do all kinds of things. People say, "Well, you're advocating for your teachers union." Well, I've been at this a long time, and many times I think that we work against ourselves, and we don't have the organizing capacity that we need that could reach the community and turn things over the way that they should be turned over. Because a lot of things need to be turned over, flat out.
Yeah.
We have had the pleasure of working with you for years, and I want to thank you for that. And you've always been open, you've always been candid, and if people say, "Are you putting the plug in for?" She's always been open, she's always been candid, she's always been of service. And always a bridesmaid, but never the bride. Always on the board, but never the chair. So I think you would make a fine chair. This is our interview, right? I'm just saying. I'm just saying. And there'll be some folk who wouldn't want that because they know that this woman, she compromises, but when she compromises, everybody wins. It's a win-win. It's not just one-sided stuff.
Yeah, if it ain't about the kids, I ain't doing it.
If it's not about the children,
kids,
you're not going to do
doing
it.
I'm not doing it. I'm tired of seeing what I see.
We
Paying
hear people
politics.
say, Ms. Mitchell, Erika, that we need to train this one, train that one, and be trained. And I'm thinking, I wasn't going to say anything. Do you actually know how much these principals are doing over this district, and how much these teachers are doing over the district? You know,
I've heard an amount of pressure and
Yeah.
amount of things that have been put on them, and it takes away from the effectiveness of what we need them to do in the classroom.
it does, and people are tired. They have their own families, their own financial burdens, their own lives. But I see so many nonprofits just springing up, and nonprofits can make money. Okay,
Yes.
people think that it's benign, not necessarily. You know, there's so many opportunities that go through when people don't know.
Yep.
Any last words?
I don't know. I'm looking forward to this campaign season. It was very short the last time, the 2 years.
Yeah.
Just got started on some really good work. I want to finish doing the work. I want to finish serving the kids in my community. I just want to see the opportunities that are out there, these students to receive it.
Yes.
We can't keep pointing a finger. We got to give it to them.
There you go. And we're going to have to educate our community to make sure. So I'm
Yeah.
thinking of some other ways to do that other than this board, that board, you know.
Yeah,
this
and we
one,
can't
that,
keep
to get
saying
out of
this
that.
one and that one. It's what are we doing? What are you doing?
Right, this ain't my system. And I said it ain't my system.
But
I
you're
didn't invent
upholding it,
Come
you
on.
know?
And there's a way that we can invent our own system.
We sure can.
Squeaky wheel gets the grease.
Yeah.
And in my mom's word, we don't want to fatten frogs for snakes.
And Erika, I want to say that since the first time I met you, you've always been upfront and transparent, no matter the outcome. And so I greatly appreciate that. And I'm sure the community greatly appreciate it also.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And if you want to tell everyone to this camera right here how to contact you.
Yes, you can reach me at, Instagram is Erika Y. Mitchell. That's ERIKA Y Mitchell, and Mitchell with 2 L's, by the way. Also, www.erikaYmitchell.com. And I think I have a Facebook page. No, Twitter is Mitchell for 5, the number 5. And my Facebook page is Board of Education member Erika Y. Mitchell. There we go.
Perfect.
Thank you so much. And we appreciate you coming.
Thank you.
Good luck.
Thank you.
All right.